still don't get it, do you? He'll find her. That's what he does. That's all he does. You can't stop him. He'll wait for you, reach down her throat, and pull her fucking heart out.
With the Gervonta Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach fight postponed or canceled. Apparently it's postponed till next year. This is a fight that we can scrap because we don't want this fight. But let's talk about what we do.
Straighter, not a roundhouse right hand. And that's what we've been talking about. The straight shot is the one where he gets leverage on it.
I don't want to kill somebody
back
for
a little bit.
seconds.
Nah, I want a body on my record.
Now, I want to see you fight motherfuckers. I do. All right, I'm with you. I'm with you. As long as you're trying to fight the great, the best competition.
With Gervonta Tank Davis being available now, we can bring out the fights that we actually want. Now, for me, I'm bringing out the fights that I want, but I'm going to bring them out to you guys in the order that I want them. The very first fight that I want, the very first one, is Vasyl Lomachenko. That is the very first fight I want. I want Vasyl Lomachenko. I believe that is the biggest fight for Tank Davis. It's the biggest money fight. I believe it's the biggest legacy fight, all of that. I believe this fight holds everything that Gervonta Tank Davis needs. I believe the second fight with Shakur Stevenson, I believe this fight is potentially more of a legacy because of the age of Shakur Stevenson, but the amount of time that the fight with Tank and Lomachenko was in the works, I think that supersedes Shakur Stevenson. Now there's other fights that are going on, but this one right here I believe is the third best, and that is Abdullah Mason. I believe Abdullah Mason is the third best opponent because I believe Abdullah Mason is arguably the most skilled fighter down there. And I know a lot of you guys are like, oh man, you tripping, man. No way is Abdullah Mason. It shouldn't be Abdullah Mason. It should be blah, 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 yada, yada. Abdullah Mason is extremely skilled. Abdullah Mason will put Gervonta Tank Davis to a test that I don't believe he's been at. This is a guy who could box, a guy who could punch. He's got all the skills, everything. His transition from offense to defense is phenomenal. Footwork, everything. He's got the whole kit, caboodle, the entire package. And I think this will be a very, very tough fight for Gervonta Tank Davis. But Abdullah Mason doesn't have the name, the star power yet, you know, to be up there to get that opponent, to get that fight. But the next one that I believe should be Keyshawn Davis. That's who I believe should be next. It's Keyshawn Davis. And I know you guys are gonna be like, oh, BF, what are you talking about? He don't got no belt and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Keyshawn is a dog. I don't like Keyshawn at all. But I don't like Keyshawn, his antics. I don't like his weirdness and how he always be talking to me, open his eyes all wide. I don't like that. But as a fighter, he's a good fighter, man. I don't believe he can beat nobody in front of him. I think he's a good fighter, though. And I think it would be exciting for as long as that fight lasts. So this is the fight that I would want next. Behind that would be Denis Beranchyk. And the reason why I say Denis Beranchyk is behind all these guys is I don't really want him to fight Denis Beranchyk at all. But it's a unification. So because it's a unification and the man is saying strap season, this gives him the opportunity to have another strap, right? And if he beats Lomachenko and unifies, and then beats Shakur and unify, then Denis Beranchyk becomes an undisputed title fight. And that's all it is, because I don't look at Denis as he's nice or nothing. The next opponent is Zapata. Now, I'm confused on how everybody is gassed off of Zapata. I really am. I don't see anything special about Zapata at all. He's a dude that stands in the middle of the ring and throws a lot of punches. He is not some devastating knockout artist. He's not some superior boxer. He just happens to be a Mexican guy that throws a lot of punches. That's it. So they gassed him up, and then Oscar De La Hoya was able to buy his way to the #1 position in all these sanctioning bodies. So he's in a position to get a title shot with anybody. Whatever. The next one I got is Andy Cruz. Now I know you're going like, what? Andy Cruz? He's only got blah blah 4 fights, 2 fights, 3 fights. Well, Andy Cruz can fight. He can fight, and he beat Keyshawn Davis. He can fight. He can box. He can bang. Do I believe he could beat Tank Davis? Absolutely not. But I believe it'll be an exciting fight for as long as it lasts. And he's Cuban. There you go. And last but not least, I wrap it up with Raymond Mortala. I believe Raymond Mortala is a very good fighter. But I don't think Raymond Mortala is the Raymond Mortala gets knocked out. Yo. Let's just keep it direct. He gets knocked out. But it's still a good fight. Now, those are the 8 fights that I think that Tank should be looking at. Now, how can I say this? These guys got fights, BF, blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, Abdullah Mason does have a fight. Abdullah Mason is fighting this guy, but Abdullah Mason is fighting in November. Well, if Tank is postponing, well, then Abdullah Mason will be ready. William Zapata's got a fight. William Zapata is fighting this guy, Tevin Farmer, in November. So if Tank Davis is postponing, then I'm not Abdullah Mason, I meant Raymond Mortala was fighting that other guy. Abdullah Mason is fighting, Keyshawn Davis is fighting this guy, right? So, not Keyshawn, William Zapata is fighting this guy, but he's fighting in November. Keyshawn Davis is fighting this guy, and he's fighting in November, right? So that's available too. Abdullah Mason is fighting this guy, and he's fighting in November. All of these guys are fighting in November. So if the fight is being postponed to the beginning of the year, all of these guys are now on the table. Everybody is available. If they're fighting the beginning of the year next year, January, February timeframe, they're all available. All of them. Everybody now is available to fight Gervonta Tank Davis, January, February timeframe. They're all available. All right. Vasyl Lomachenko is not fighting anybody. Shakur Stevenson is not fighting anybody, bro. I believe Denis Baranchyk is fighting somebody, but he's also fighting December or November, December timeframe. So even he might be available. But I think Denis Baranchyk has somebody he's fighting in December. So I think Denis might be off. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Denis might be off the table, right? Denis might be off. But everybody else, the rest of those guys are still there. So I believe Denis is fighting in December. And I don't think Denis is going to want to fight Tank Davis on a month's notice. I highly, highly doubt that, which is another video that I'll be talking about. But these guys, these 7 guys, are available, and they will be available, y'all. They will be available. So with all of these 7 guys available, right, we need to start getting into looking at these rankings, because these rankings is what matters. So before we look at the actual WBA, let's look at the BoxRec rankings, right? Now, if you're looking at the BoxRec rankings, you have Tank as #1, Shakur is #2, Zapata is #3, Lomachenko, Zaur Abduliev, which I didn't even address him at all. Mortala, Denis Baranchyk, Navarrete, who's also ranked #1 at 130, but whatever. And then Keyshawn Davis is #10. Now, if we're keeping an eye on these, right? If we're really focusing on these and what these actually mean to us, and no matter what they mean to everybody else, but to us, what these boxing ranking means is basically who we want them to fight. These are the guys right here, right? These are the guys right here. Hold on a second. Let me get rid of that. So these are the guys right here that we want them to fight. These guys. With Tank being #1, Shakur, Zapata, Lomachenko, Mortala, Baranchyk, and Keyshawn Davis. Those are the guys that we want him to fight. Now, all of those fights that I have on there are good fights. Their start at the bottom is good, and as they raise up, which is what I have right here, right? Mortala is at the bottom, and then Lomachenko is the #1 fight that Tank can have at 135. It's the #1 fight. We could try to bullshit, say it's Shakur and blah, blah, blah. It's not. It's Lomachenko. Lomachenko is the #1 fight that Gervonta Tank Davis should be fighting. It is Lomachenko. But anyways, so let's look at these rankings. So if you're looking at these rankings, right, you have Tank as the champion, of course. Zapata is number 1. Floyd Schofield, who I didn't talk about, who also has a fight, but whatever about him. De Los Santos, Andy Cruz, Abduliev, Frank Martin, blah, 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 right? So if we're looking at these, then the ones that we should want should be any champion, Shakur, Loma, Denny's, Zapata, Schofield, De Los Santos, and Andy Cruz. Those are the ones that we should be wanting from the WBA rankings. Now, with all of that being said, the fight to make is Vasyl Lomachenko. All right, if we have our choice, you can get Raymond Mortala. Yeah, you could get Raymond Mortala up out of here. You can get him out of here. No one's gonna be checking for, oh man, we need to get Raymond Mortala, man. BF, you got to get Raymond Mortala, man. If you don't get Raymond Mortala, man, he ducking. No one's gonna sit here and say no goddamn Tank is ducking the Raymond Mortala. Get him out of here. All right, that's one completely gone. Andy Cruz, I rock with Andy Cruz. I think it's a really good fight, but Andy Cruz star power isn't big enough. Lamont Roach's star power is not even big as Andy Cruz's star power, but we're looking at this on the preface. This fight is postponed or potentially canceled. So Andy Cruz got to go. All right, that leaves these fighters on this page. If you have these fighters as badly as I would want this fight, Abdullah Mason is not in the picture. As badly as I would want it. All right, as badly as I would want it. I really would want this. Keyshawn Davis, Top Rank is nowhere near going to put Keyshawn Davis in there with Gervonta Tank Davis right now. It is not going to happen. All the talk and bluster and blah, 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 totally irrelevant. It ain't going to happen. The talk is good for Bob Arum because then that's you selling yourself and he don't have to do anything. You ain't fighting Tank. That's out the picture. All right. So that leaves you with 3 fighters. All right. It leaves you with Shakur, Zapata, and Vasyl Lomachenko. These are the 3 fighters that it leaves you with. Of these 3 fighters, bro, Shakur, Zapata, and Lomachenko. The fighter that I believe is going to get this opportunity is Vasyl Lomachenko. Now I don't believe that Oscar De La Hoya is going to put Zapata in there with Gervonta Tank Davis at all. At all. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. Not even remotely close. Not even remotely close. I believe he's going to push for a Shakur Stevenson fight, if that, or like a Denis Baranchyk, or maybe a Lomachenko fight. So I don't see William Zapata fighting no goddamn Tank Davis. He's out the picture. That leaves you with just these 2. All right. That leaves you with Lomachenko and it leaves you with Shakur Stevenson. Now, of Lomachenko and Shakur Stevenson, of these 2 guys, who do you think is going to get have a better opportunity of fighting Gervonta Tank Davis? Bro, I thought about this for a while. I really did. Thought about it for a while. And the more and more I thought about it, and even now, the more I think about it, Shakur Stevenson is not fighting no goddamn Tank Davis. I don't give a damn what y'all say. Y'all can say whatever you want. Say whatever you want. Tell me whatever you want to tell me, which leaves us this fight right here. That's what it leaves us with. All that bluster, all the blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada about this and about that, and oh my gosh, and yada, 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 yada. This is the fight that's going to happen. This is the fight. If Tank versus Lamont Roach is postponed or canceled, this is the only fight that should happen. Shakur Stevenson is not fighting Tank Davis. He's not fighting Tank Davis. I don't give a damn what y'all say, bro. Shakur Stevenson wants to use Tank Davis to gas his name up. Y'all gonna have to show me otherwise. He's not fighting him. Lomachenko will fight Tank Davis. If the fight is postponed, if the fight is canceled, this right here should be the fight that happens. this one. All right. We'll talk about why it didn't happen later, a little bit later, but this is the fight that should happen, y'all. This one right here. BFTB, shout out to the mighty LDBC. Now, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, subscribe to my Patreon. And if you feel like supporting me, please support me in the PayPal or the Cash App.